You're watching DD The Defense Dynamics. I am Danveer from New Delhi, connecting to our viewers from India and around the world. Today we are going to talk about artillery guns and Indian Army's modernization plans. We are going to tell you why ATAGS are the best guns available in the world, and we are also going to tell you how Kargil War has shaped the modernization plan of the Indian Army as it is happening today, and far much more. The artillery has four core missions in the modern battle space: suppression of enemy fires or counter battery fires, striking high-value targets, breaking up enemy force concentrations, and providing fire support for maneuver warfare. One of the basic warfare lessons is that greater the distance from which one can target the enemy, greater the flexibility one can achieve on ground for own maneuvers. From the catapults and cannons used in the ancient times, the evolution of mechanical projectiles, to modern-day artillery guns which are integrated with network-centric warfare, the role of gunners has always been a winning factor in the battlefield, thus proving to be a crucial support system to other fighting arms. During an attack, artillery fire can cause attrition, destroy and soften the enemy target, and also prevent direct fire on own attacking troops from the enemy by keeping their heads down. It can also prevent enemy's artillery fire by engaging them with own artillery called the counter bombardment. Artillery fire can prevent enemy reinforcements from coming to aid of their own troops by isolating the target by fire. It can also carry out sporadic fire to harass the enemy, prevent them from resting, or keep them guessing of the place and time of attack. In defensive battles, where the defensive positions are normally held by the infantry, the likely routes and approaches of enemy attack are analyzed very carefully, and defensive fire targets are identified along each enemy approach and route, whose firing data is pre-registered and recorded. When the enemy comes attacking, he is received by the deadly defender's defensive fire. Indian artillery proved itself during short but intense Kargil War fought by the Indian Army to retake the territory occupied by Pakistani soldiers disguised as militants. The deadliest of clashes in the higher altitudes to retake the occupied territory was the Kargil War. This war took place in the month of May, June and July of 1999. It was in the early May the Indian military learned that Pakistani fighters had infiltrated and occupied the Indian territory. This intrusion triggered intense fighting between the two sides that lasted for almost 3 months, with India finally taking back the occupied heights by rendering a crushing defeat to the Pakistani army. Soon after the Kargil War, Indian Army embarked on a significant overhaul of its artillery. The immediate focus then was on achieving the self-reliance. Since then, India has achieved Atmanirbharta, or the self-reliance, in designing, manufacturing and developing these guns of all shapes and sizes and caliber. Now, focus is on combination of strategic mobility and enhanced long-range firepower. The Indian Army is said to have set a goal to itself to transition its entire artillery to medium 155 mm gun systems by 2042. To put things in perspective, artillery won the war for India by pulverizing Pakistani defense to smithereens in Cargill. The Indian artillery fired over 250,000 shells, bombs and rockets during the Kargil conflict. Most of these were fired in an approximately 10 to 15 days period of intense fighting. 9,000 shells were fired on Tiger Hill alone when it was regained. During the peak period of assaults, on an average, each artillery battery fired over 1 round per minute for 17 days continuously. The Pakistanis were simply and overwhelmingly outgunned.
It's the caliber which matters. It's not the make, whether it was 155mm Bofors or even if it was the Austrian gun or the French gun Sofma, they would have done as well. This 155mm guns, they were the mainstay of this battle. These guns were so effective, which made the task of the infantry very easy. The contribution of artillery was unique.
The Kargil War also brought home a few important lessons. Artillery is one of the most important components of war that has been proved through the ages. One should never forget that war is a violent endeavor in which victory goes to the side with big guns. What Indian artillery did in Kargil long back reinforces this fact very well. Surprise is a battle-winning factor throughout the history of warfare. In Kargil, the differentiating aspect of employment of artillery between India and Pakistan was totally surprising.
Target over.
Pakistan could never ever imagine that artillery could be deployed at such huge scales in such smaller areas, and that too in those high altitudes. India's employment of mass artillery in a destructive role, and especially the destruction wreaked by the Bofors, was a strategic and a tactical surprise for them. The data spanning India's wars with Pakistan consistently revealed a stark reality. Approximately 80% of war casualties can be attributed to artillery fire. Recent global conflicts such as the Russia-Ukraine war have underscored the critical role of firepower as a decisive factor in battle. The ability to deliver precision strikes at extended ranges has become paramount, as demonstrated by the Russian and the Ukrainian forces. Taking cue from the lessons of Kargil War in 1999 to the latest ongoing Ukraine conflict, the Indian Army has embarked on a significant overhaul of its artillery regiment. The focus now lies on a strategic combination of mobility and enhanced long-range firepower. Army has set a goal of transition of its entire artillery to medium 155mm gun system by 2042.
After Kargil or post-99, there was a shift in the doctrine, that is, the aim of artillery fire then shifted from neutralization to destruction, and the best weapon suited for bringing about the destruction of enemy combat potential by application of firepower is 155.
When we talk of artillery guns, we come across a lot of measurement figures like 155mm, 122mm, 105mm and things like that. Basically, this measurement tells us about the capability of the gun, the destructive power that gun is going to have on the target, and the range of the gun. To explain this, firstly, let's focus on the photograph that is there on this video wall. We see the barrel, the wheels and a truck. So barrel, we all know what barrel is. The wheels are called in the artillery parlance the gun carriage, and the truck that we see is the prime mover. And the caliber, the measurements that I was talking of, like in this case, it is 155mm, because the gun, this is gun that is shown here is the ATAG. So 155mm over here means the bore of the gun, basically the size of the barrel from inside. So that is what this measurement is about. When we talk of artillery guns, they are classified in 3 different categories. The 3 different type of guns are the field gun, the medium gun and the heavy gun. Now this categorization is as per the millimeter caliber that they hold, which means what is the type of destruction they are going to cause at the target end, and what is the likely range of the shell that is going to be achieved by this gun. As the graphic tells you, the field gun has a caliber of 105 millimeter and has a range of 10 to 12 kilometers. When we talk of medium guns, we have 130 to 155 mm caliber and has a range of 28 to 48 kilometers. When we talk of 48 kilometers, here we are talking of 155 mm ATAGS. When we talk of heavy gun, we are talking of 203 mm caliber, and the range is a little less, that is 12 to 16 kilometers. We had in the Indian Army this caliber, but now this caliber is obsolete. Indian artillery at the time of Kargil War had largely the Russian guns of varied caliber like 130 mm medium and 122 mm field guns, the Swedish 155 mm Bofors and Indian 105 mm light and field guns. That was the time when India relied heavily on imports of ammunition. Under the shadow of sanctions and import restrictions, India faced a huge challenge to import 155 ammunition to fight this war. However, today things have changed and come a full circle. India had fought the Kargil War with whatever it had under severe constraints. There had been no acquisition of guns for the artillery since 1987, when 410 pieces of Bofors were acquired from Sweden. The contract was embroiled in issues of corruption and alleged malpractices which prevented all efforts of modernization of artillery. This led to large voids in firepower of the Indian Army. The Kargil War actually shook the military planners to the core. The alarming state of voids resulted in evolvement of Field Artillery Rationalization Plan in 2000. As part of this plan, 155 mm caliber was made the standard gun system for Indian artillery. Artillery profile was conceived and promulgated with emphasis on mediumization of the artillery. Today, India has designed and developed world-class artillery gun systems like the Upgun 155 mm Sharang, advanced towed artillery gun systems commonly known as ATAGS, the Dhanush, the Pinaka guided rocket systems, the BrahMos and the Prithvi missiles. Today, India makes K9 Vajra self-propelled guns and M777 ULH, the ultra-light howitzers, indigenously along with the Koreans and the Americans. Today, India has an artillery that is completely network-centric, enabled with foolproof indigenous technology like the Artillery Combat Command Control System or ATAGS, complemented with the Battlefield Surveillance System or the BSS. The ATAGS is a major subsystem of Command, Control, Communication and Intelligence or C3I systems being fielded in the Indian Army. The role is to automate all the operational functions of artillery from core fire control center down to battery command post with gun display units at individual gun level. The BSS or the Battlefield Surveillance System is a mobile automated surveillance system capable of integrating the inputs from all battlefield surveillance devices, fusing them with other inputs and database to produce a battlefield scenario to aid the commander in correct decision making. The Indian Army is likely to acquire two indigenously developed and designed gun systems. One is the 155 mm or the 52 caliber advanced towed artillery gun system, and the second one is the mounted gun system, which offers excellent shoot and scoot capabilities. The focus is on acquiring approximately 300 of these advanced artillery pieces. The induction of ATAGS is relevant as the system is designed to be compatible with the Indian Army's Shakti Artillery Combat Command and Control System known as ATAGS.
Sensor to shooter links in a network-centric environment will be established, and the time of engagements or the response time will greatly reduce and the accuracy of fire will increase.
For a brief period in 2017, the ATAGS broke the record for longest range artillery gun when the system fired standard high explosive based bleed ammunition to a range of about 48 kilometers. ATAG is a state-of-art artillery system and uses an electric drive system for elevation. The ATAGS has a firing range of up to 48 kilometers. It can also fire burst of 5 rounds in 60 seconds. It can fire at a sustained rate of 60 rounds in 60 minutes. This gun system has been tested under extreme weather conditions with temperatures ranging over from 50 degrees to minus 15 degrees centigrade. As such, having already cleared high altitude trials at an altitude of 15,000 feet, the ATAGS platform offers Indian Army a reliable means to outrage Pakistani and even standard Chinese artillery guns. In addition to ATAGS, it is planned to equip the artillery regiments of Indian Army with mountain gun systems for employment in varied terrains along the Indian borders, from deserts and plains to high altitude areas above 15,000 feet. The mountain gun systems will also achieve matching mobility of artillery grouped for operations with mechanized forces. While the towed and self-propelled versions of artillery guns have been in service with armed forces of the world for long, the mounted gun system is a recent innovation aimed at exploiting the advantages of both the weapon systems, be it the mobility or the ease of deployment. The MGS is a hybrid gun system wherein gun is mounted on its prime mover, and while firing it deploys a suitable mechanism to transmit the firing stress to the ground as in field gun rather than through the prime mover. It enables quick deployment of guns and shorter turning radius than the towed guns.
ATAGS, though being the best in the category in the world, however, their higher weight is said to be an issue in terms of strategic and tactical mobility in high altitude areas of the Himalayan region. Hence, they are most likely to be deployed in the plains and the desert sectors of the Indian borders. To cater for operational needs at higher altitudes, the Army is looking for towed gun system just like the Bofors.
The ATAGS, known for its advanced capabilities and firepower, has garnered attention for its effectiveness on the battlefield. However, its weight of around 20 tons posed a challenge for mobility and deployment, prompting the development of a lighter variant to address Army-specific requirements. Indian Army is modernizing the artillery through indigenous route, using capabilities of Indian firms, as Indian industry has developed capabilities in this field and is now even exporting these systems to foreign countries. Along with 200 mounted howitzers, Indian Army is likely to go in for procurement of 400 new towed guns under Make in India route. Indian Army's Regiment of Artillery is looking to use the expertise of Indian industry to produce 155 mm towed gun system, which will be lighter, versatile and cater for future technological advancements. The Indian Army has already issued a tender for buying 307 advanced towed artillery gun systems, or the ATAGS, along with one for finding a mounted gun system for its requirement along the borders of China and Pakistan. The Indian designed, developed and manufactured howitzer would mean it would be totally Indian in all the ways. Army wants the guns to be lighter in weight and easier to deploy in high altitude areas like the older Bofors guns.
This comprehensive plan for artillery modernization represents India's commitment to maintaining a formidable defense posture and bolstering its capabilities in an ever-evolving global security landscape. The transformation of artillery is not only about enhancing firepower, but also about ensuring readiness and adaptability of India's armed forces to face any future challenge with confidence and competence.
In essence, India's artillery modernization strategy is a multifaceted approach aimed at achieving superior firepower, precision and adaptability on the modern battlefield. With a clear roadmap in place, India's artillery forces are gearing up for the challenges of the future, ensuring that they remain at the forefront of military innovation and capability. The future of artillery in 21st century will depend upon several factors such as nature of conflicts and threats faced by the nation's armed forces. Some conflicts may require more precision, mobility and agility from artillery, especially those that are short and sharp. However, longer conflicts may necessitate more firepower, range and endurance. Since one cannot really predict the nature and duration of a conflict, all possible contingencies have to be catered for. The availability of resources and logistics to support the operation and maintenance of artillery, including the cost, quantity and quality of ammunition, fuel, spare parts and personnel will also be a major factor. It is not only the guns, but also the indigenization of ammunitions, which is another significant aspect of this modernization effort. The ongoing trials involve 4 types of munitions, with an emphasis on developing more lethal and precision ammunitions. The initiatives like Excalibur and Precision Guidance Kit enhance the precision capability of the artillery guns. The future plan includes course-correctable fuses and terminally guided munitions to further enhance precision targeting. India's premier institution in technology, the Indian Institute of Technology Madras, is redesigning the existing shells using ramjet propulsion technology, which will be compatible with all existing artillery guns such as Bofors, Dhanush, Vajra and ATAGS. Each gun has its own characteristics, but shell developed by IIT Madras is of 155 mm caliber, which will be usable on all Indian and foreign guns of 155 mm caliber. Once developed, ATAG will achieve a whooping range of 75 kilometers.
Kargil War or 1990s, our range was limited to up to about 30 kilometers with the guns and the rocket system which we had. And post that, if you see, there has been an increase in the lethality as well as the range with the rocket systems, the guns of 52 caliber guns, 155 caliber, as well as the BrahMos missiles, which has become part of the artillery inventory.
Artillery is often called the king of the battlefield because of its enormous impact in both offensive and the defensive operations. In fact, Joseph Stalin, the former Soviet leader, had even gone as far as to say that artillery was the god of war.
In terms of effective rate of fire that can be brought down on any objective, nothing can match the artillery in terms of sheer cost effectiveness. The development of new technologies and systems that can enhance the capabilities of artillery like precision guided munitions, loitering munitions, long-range ammunition, drones, GPS systems and mounted gun systems have made it even more versatile and further enhanced its role in the battlefield. The clamor by Ukraine for more and more artillery, including long-range artillery systems like the M142 HIMARS, the high mobility artillery rocket system, only reinforces this fact.
RT profile 2027, which has been envisaged, a lot of thought had gone into it, and people have looked at how future wars are going to be fought and what type of equipment and ammunition and other niche technologies which we should have to fight those wars in the future.
With this, we come to the end of this episode, but before I go, here's my take. While economic power is the fountainhead of growth of the nation, it is the military strength that lends any nation the ability to effect tangible outcomes. The current geostrategic landscape is characterized by change taking place at an unprecedented scale and speed. Recent geopolitical power plays have displayed that where national interests are concerned, countries will not hesitate to go to war. These developments have reaffirmed the relevance of hard power. Military strength and capabilities are necessary to prevent war or to deter war across the entire spectrum of the conflict. Hence, the importance of Atmanirbharta or self-reliance in shaping countries' hard power and capabilities. See you next week with new stories and their analysis. Thanks for watching, and do post your comment on social media with hashtag DD with Danveer. Goodbye and take care.